Hi, this is Lada from astrolada.com with your June 2018 horoscopes, and this month there is one big event happening in the stars, in the sky. This is Mars going retrograde, and I'm gonna walk you step by step what to do because it's a critical, pivotal period. It can affect you for the next 6-7 months after that. But before I start, just to remind you that on the 27th of May we're starting a foundational course with me on the 12 houses of astrology, house rulers, planets in houses. You don't need to know any astrology, and it's going to be 6 months, and it's only $200. If you get on before May 27th, you get $50 off, and after that it becomes $250. It's my most successful course, and I hope you enjoy it. But otherwise, Mars, and I'm doing the same intro for all the 12 signs because I want to explain first how Mars works before it goes retrograde. And Mars goes retrograde once every 2.5 years. It's a very rare influence, but especially when Mars has gone retrograde in Aquarius like 40 years ago the last time. So the opportunities and the changes in your life that can happen now will affect you in a way that they haven't affected been like for 40 years, almost like 40 or 50 years actually. 1971 or something, Mars went retrograde in the same place. And what does it mean to Mars go retrograde? It goes retrograde towards the end of the month. It means that Mars will be closest to Earth. From our perspective, it becomes a super bright red angry star in the sky. It means it's very strong. A retrograde planet being so much closer to Earth has its influence overpowering. So basically it will be like a boot camp of Mars energy for us for about 2-3 months while Mars is retrograde. And the most intense period is when Mars is changing direction. So this is happening in June and then again in August, towards the end in August. So from the middle of June till the end of June, it's going to be super intense time for many of us in specific areas of their life. So basically Mars till now was moving forward. Just imagine it's like you're driving, you're sailing with your ship in the journey of life forward, and you're kind of doing it on automatic. And you reach to some point. This is Mars. Mars is our actions, how we move forward, how we proceed. And often, you know, when you're driving a car and you're always on the same road, you kind of zone out and you do it automatically. This is when Mars moves direct. There are no surprises, things go according to your expectations. But now Mars slows down at the end of June. From the middle of June it slows down, the end of June it makes a roundabout and starts tracking back in the first 10 degrees of Aquarius again. So it means like almost like you reach a point here, you're driving your car and now there is a blockage. So something happens in your life that will require you to change direction in regards to your actions, in regards to the path you're walking down on. And when you're driving normally, you don't think much, it's automatic. But when when there is a blockage or you have to find a different road, you have to use a lot more of your willpower and a lot of more concentrated and focused thought, because now you're not on automatic. You have to find different solutions, you have to look for a different path, you have to fix some problem. That's what happens when Mars starts slowing down around that period, from the middle of June till maybe till the end of June. And it will require you to be a lot more conscious and present with using Mars energy. And Mars energy is moving forward, or your assertiveness, how you do things, your initiatives and activities. You can't just proceed on automatic. You have to be way more careful, way more contemplative, way more map out each step carefully, because you can make a mistake, or you can somehow hurt yourself, or you can otherwise, if you just continue like before, you can't reach the journey that you're supposed to go on. So there will be this slowing down and starting to move backwards, which means we'll slow down. Something happens here from the middle of June till the end, some crisis situation usually, or something that you hit some wall. And you have to change your direction of action, you have to change your plan games, You have to be prepared to be more flexible. And when Mars moves retrograde, it acts more like its second ruler, like Scorpio. Because when Mars moves direct, it acts more like Aries. Aries is move forward, let's initiate things, let's move ahead, very spontaneous, very, you know, almost without thinking action. But when it starts moving backwards, it gets the energies of Scorpio more. So it means like we have to be much more strategic, much more planning, much more patient. Mars in Scorpio is patient and careful and maneuvers carefully. We have to use our willpower with way more precision, and we have to engage the willpower way more than at other times. Than we normally engage it. So it's intense period. But the ultimate goal of this Mars retrograde will be to basically help you fix some situation that is not healthy in your life or that's not productive. It's the ultimate goal is to teach you to use your Mars energy, which is initiative, assertiveness, courage, in a more productive way. If you're someone who is overly angry, something will happen here to show you that you cannot continue like that. If you're overly bossy or pushy or assertive, you'd have to reevaluate your martial behaviors, maybe apologize to people, fix something due to your impulsive energies before. Or because you know, some actions that you've done before which were not with so much thought. Or if you're someone who has lower energy of Mars, so who is not assertive, who allows others to take advantage of them, who is not initiative, again you'll have to reevaluate your Mars behaviors, and you might have to confront those people that you know, blocking you from being, that are scaring you from being assertive, and you have to assert yourself. You have to, so that's why a lot more fights happen, a lot more arguments while you're readjusting the level of your Mars energy, how you know, how you initiate things, how you move forward in life, how you fight for what you believe, you know. So all those things, we're going to talk about them one by one. And Marina is doing a webinar on Mars retrograde as well in June. You can check, it's very cheap. I think it's $20 only. You can check her webinar as well, and there's a link below, and join her as well to see personally how it's going to affect you, because those predictions that I do, they're more general. They don't see specifically in your horoscope, but in that webinar she'll show you how to do it. So for Capricorns, Capricorn rising, sun or moon people, Capricorn, Mars goes retrograde in your second house. And it means that second house is our finances, resources, our value system. And when this happens is that you might have to rebudget or refinance something. I would advise you from the middle of June not to take financial risks. Even already the whole June, don't take financial risks, because you might have to correct something after that. Because you might be missing certain information in regards to where you're putting your money, or what you're investing in, or what you're spending money on, or maybe you'd spend more than you expected, and some unexpected expense can appear when Mars starts becoming stationary. So some critical situation or some kind of a surprise and change of circumstances in regards to your resources starts happening. And I give this example is when my ex-husband used to have had Mars retrograde in his second house from the ascendant. Someone stole his phone and made a bill for $20,000, and he was supposed to, his work phone, and he was supposed to, the work demanded that he pays it. All of a sudden a big expense, and that happened when Mars was about to go retrograde. And he was just so stressed the whole Mars retrograde period. He was trying to negotiate with the company that they, you know, that he don't pay that. He was just going for 2 months of stresses, negotiating that and worrying about money. And at the end, he was able actually to win that battle, and he didn't have to pay that money, but it was stressful for him, this whole situation. So I'm giving you an extreme example, you know, but something similar. So I would advise you, don't take financial risks, be a bit more conservative, and you might have to redesign how you spend money, or what you invest your money in. You might have to, second house is our assets and possessions. Maybe it's more likely that when Mars starts becoming stationary and retrograde, that you can lose something, break something of value that you consider. Maybe someone can steal it. You know, that's the worst situations, you know. Or you might just need to repair or fix something of value, of worth, when Mars starts going retrograde, because Mars is a problem fixer, problem solver. You know, again, it requires more efforts and more conscious effort, but you know, so we have such periods. Plus, you might have to put 3 times, if by now you're spending money like in a certain pattern, you're doing it almost consistently in such a way, and how you deal with your finances, you know, you've been doing it by heart, by rote, as they say, automatic. Well, now something will happen very likely that will make you reevaluate how you spend money, and that you have to use your willpower more consciously to make a different budgeting plan, for example, you know. And to have to maybe fight or work harder to procure some alternative sources of of financial resources, because Mars going retrograde is about changing direction, finding alternative routes. And maybe it might be for some of you just something else that is happening. For example, that some money from before can come back to you, or something that you've lost in the past, because Mars is retrograde, something is brought back to you. Something that you've lost or you've broken, you might repair it now or fix it or receive it back. Some of people I see like they take more drastic actions with their possessions and resources when Mars is retrograde. Like they do a cleanse of their clothes, of their furniture, whatever. Mars is quite minimalistic and soldier-like, you know, soldiers, they have the minimal comforts. So you might get in such a state of mind that you just want to cleanse everything that is no longer necessary from you, and Mars can do this kind of, you know, this military operation of getting rid of things that you no longer need. And these again, material possessions and things like that. That can be a good thing to revise your wardrobe, to revise your possessions, or to kind of do readjustments there, to put action and energy into that, to go back and say, well, this is not what I need anymore, and you know. Okay, on another level, what else can it be? You might be able to, as I said, you might be required to work extra hard, because retrograde planet requires 3 times more energy to input in something regarding procuring more resources and finances. And maybe you're not going to see now the resources when Mars starts going retrograde, but by the end of the period, from September onwards, you might be able to see that, you know, the 3 times more efforts that you put in procuring more resources or finances or financial stability led to more lasting and more like a frog jump in regards to your resources. But you'll see the results later on. And if you do some reckless and rash investments or spendings, it will be difficult on you, because Mars retrograde is about being very strategic with your resources. Okay, on another level, the 2nd house is your self-worth. So someone can really press your button. Mars is someone that activates you, that triggers you, that almost makes you angry in regards to how you express your self-worth, in regards to your self-value. And you might just decide to do something to improve your self-value, to put extra efforts into improving your self-worth, you know, and maybe having to fight to prove your self-worth to someone, having to fight to prove your worth and value maybe to your employer, or maybe if you have your own business, you might realize that how you've been, you know, that you're underestimating yourself. Something happens now in June and you say, enough, I've been underestimating myself, I will change the prices in a big way, or I will shift, or maybe you've been overestimating your business and your prices were too high. Maybe you have to drop them down now. Some readjustment there happens in regards to matters of value and self-worth. Okay, on another level, the 2nd house is what we eat and what you put in your mouth. Well, you have to be, you know, maybe you have to reevaluate and put extra efforts in changing your dietary habits. Just like the 6th house is connected to that, so is the 2nd house. And Mars retrograde is like a very good soldier. It's like a very disciplined soldier. It requires you to be like a very disciplined soldier. So it's kind of like a boot camp, as I said, like a military preparation for a military operation that requires you to do so. You'd have more willpower and more even anger and fire in you to instill changes in what you eat while Mars starts going retrograde, because maybe something happens that, you know, pushes you to the limit and you say, I can't eat like that anymore, so I have to do something. But something, it's like some crisis situation can happen, or you just had enough and you're like, you know, I'm gonna change my eating habits, what I put in my mouth, through the body. And you will require to use a lot of willpower while Mars is retrograde. But when it starts moving direct, it would have become a habit for you. So you won't need willpower anymore. So till around the end of August, the beginning of September, after that it will become naturally ingrained in you, this change of food habits. On another level, second house is your teeth and the mouth as well. So yeah, maybe be careful not to break your teeth or chip a tooth or something like that. That can be another silly manifestation of some sort. In Vedic astrology, the second house is connected to family. So I haven't observed too much, but just in case, you know, be careful not to get into too serious fights with family, or there might be some certain complications that start happening in regards to your relationship with family members and family generally. So you have to prepare for that, and you have to be more strategic again. Also, at the same time, Venus is in your 7th house till the middle of June, so you can receive support from your partners, from your husband or wife or business partners of some sort. Support like moral or emotional. You can even, it can be good for going on a good date, or even meeting someone. For relationships, if you're single, Venus till the middle of June is in your 7th house. It doesn't mean all Capricorns will meet big love or something, but it definitely makes the opportunity for more pleasant interactions with others in relationships possible, or just having some good time away with your partner, some, you know, or better relationships with clients of some sort, or maybe the signing of some contract that goes easy, of some agreement of some sort. Okay, so that's what I have for you, Capricorns. Hope that prepares you well for the Mars retrograde period. And thank you so much. I will see you next month.